What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, we had to cut our road trip short, so we didn't get to rent the camper van. We didn't get to go out to the Pacific Northwest, but we did have a really good time in Colorado, Denver, and Aspen, and that whole surrounding area. But I am back now in Omaha, and I'm continuing to make some YouTube content for you guys. I'm gonna keep it up, making at least 2 videos per week. Make sure that you guys are liking the videos, you're subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. That way I know you like the content that I'm putting out, and I'll continue to make some more videos for you guys. And as always, drop in the comments what you're looking for. But now that I'm back, in this video, we are going over the 5 biggest myths when it comes to sales. And I wanted to make this video so that I could debunk some of these myths, because there's a lot of good people out there that want to get into a sales job or a sales career, but they're unable to because they think that because they believe one of these limiting beliefs and one of these myths, that they're not going to be good at sales, and that's just not the case. So I'm going to go over the 5 most common myths that I hear when I'm coaching people, when I'm training people, and just from being in the sales world. And I'm going to go and debunk those right now, and you're going to find out that these are not true, that they are in fact myths that are keeping you from becoming a great salesperson. And sometimes what you think may be something that keeps you from being a great salesperson is actually a strength. All right, guys, so let's get into it. Like I said in the intro, we are going over the 5 biggest myths that I see in the industry around when people come and they tell me that they're not good at sales. All right, and the very first one that I see is people saying, I'm not outgoing or I'm not an extrovert. And this is one of the biggest myths that I come across when people want to get into a sales career, or they've already gotten themselves into a sales career and they're not having success. And they think it's because they're not outgoing. And that's a really big mistake, because that's not required and that's not necessary to be good at sales. There's really no specific thing that you're absolutely needing in order to be good at sales. So people come in and they're introverts, or they're not used to talking to people, and so they think that they need to put on this facade or this fake personality and be really outgoing, and they think they need to do all the talking, and that's just not the case. Some of the best sales comes from you listening and you hearing what the person is saying, and you being able to deliver a value through what you're selling. All right. Now, the second thing after people being outgoing or extroverts, like I said, some of the best salespeople I've ever seen are introverts. I would consider myself kind of a mix between an introvert and an outrovert, or an introvert and an extrovert, sorry. But for me, especially like when it comes to making videos or when it comes to sales, when I see that little red dot or when the phone starts ringing, I'm able to just channel this thing inside of me that allows me to bring up all of my training and everything that I've taught myself when it comes to having to become an extrovert. Or when it comes to sales, you don't necessarily have to make yourself into an extrovert. You can actually play to your strengths and be an introvert and still do that effectively when it comes to sales. Now, the second biggest myth that I've come across is that people think salespeople are natural born salespeople. And I can tell you that that is 100% not true, and that this is a limiting belief that you'll need to get over, right? Actually, all of these are limiting beliefs that you need to get over, but this is a big one. So what can happen is people think that salespeople are natural born salespeople. Like, they're just born with these talents and the ability to persuade people, and the ability to talk confidently, and the ability to just be a great salesperson. And most of the time, that's couldn't be further from the truth. There may be some people that are more inclined to be better at that, but when you look at people that are truly great salesmen and saleswomen, they didn't just fall ass backwards into being great at that, right? They typically have put hours upon hours, thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of hours into honing this skill and becoming a great salesperson. So if you're just starting out and you think that you're not a great salesperson, or you just weren't born with that charisma, or you just weren't born with the ability to persuade people, understand that it's not about what you were born with, and it's a skill that you need to work on first and foremost by taking action and just getting on the phone or going out and doing sales in person, whatever you're trying to sell. Nothing can be built without you actually having a battleground to be testing things on, right? We have to actually be going out and putting in the reps, so to say. I'm not just saying like doing the same thing over and over again is going to create perfection. That's not the case. but going and recording your sales calls if you can. Whether if you're on the phone, you definitely can record yourself. If you're in person, it may be a little bit tougher, but maybe you want to walk around with a tape recorder. I don't know. But recording yourself is very, very helpful in order to see what you're doing. It's game film. You can go back and say, hey, maybe I should have said this a little bit differently. Maybe I should have said a different word here. Or maybe I should have changed my tonality. A lot of the time, sales comes down to how we're saying things, not exactly what we're saying. But the point is, people aren't just naturally born amazing salespeople. They work at it over time. And once you can understand that, that's when you can start getting better and better. Because you realize that everybody's on a level playing field, and the way that you're going to get better than somebody else at sales, which is a very high value, high income skill, is by working at it. And that's not just putting in hours and hours, it's actively iterating what you're doing to make yourself better and better every single phone call or every single sales meeting. Okay, myth number 3 is I'm too young or I'm too old. So a lot of people will think that, especially like in the insurance or financial services world, that age can be a big problem. And it's usually in that world, typically people think they're too young in order to sell somebody on an annuity or a retirement plan or give any sort of financial advice, right? A lot of young people will use that as a limiting belief or a myth that they believe to be true, is that they're too young to gain people's respect in order to give advice when it comes to people's money. And that's 100% not true. What happens is that because they're young, they believe that. And because they believe that, it creates a lack of confidence. And the lack of confidence is what makes it so you can't inspire people to actually believe in you, right? Whereas if you have confidence, the age that you are isn't going to matter. If you can speak confidently about what you want to do in order to help them, if you can truly have confidence from not just bullshit confidence, but confidence from actually putting in the hours to learn and to know what you're talking about, and as you continue to get more and more customers, that's going to build true confidence, okay? What we have to understand is that fake confidence and faking it till you make it, while maybe sometimes is necessary, that's not what's going to be the thing that's going to make you great at sales. It's actually having true confidence because you've helped people before in this exact situation, or you've put in hours and hours learning what to do, and that's why you have the confidence in order to give this recommendation, because you've put in hours learning it, and because of that, now you have the ability to confidently give somebody advice in this sector or whatever you're giving them advice on, right? It has nothing to do with your age. There are people that are 60 years old that are still trying to give financial advice, and sometimes it's crap and they have no confidence in what they're saying, right? Do not let age become a limiting belief as to why you can't become a great salesperson. All it comes down to is you actually being a confident salesperson, and confidence comes from knowledge and actually believing what you're saying and believing in the products that you're selling. And that brings us perfectly into myth number 4, which is I'm not confident. I think that I'm not good at sales because I don't have confidence, right? There are people that get on the phone and they're extremely nervous or they're extremely anxious, and that comes from not having confidence. And they think that confidence is just naturally given to people, or people just naturally have confidence, and that's not the case. Some people maybe naturally have charisma, and that makes it a little easier to seem confident, but true confidence comes from knowing your product, knowing what you're selling, knowing that you're recommending the absolute best thing, and more than anything, it comes down to how much do you care. Because if you care about the person you're trying to sell something to, and you truly believe what you're selling is in their best interest, it's going to make their life better, and you're providing true, real value, how could you not have confidence? You will. You'll have outstanding confidence. You'll have amazing confidence because you know that you're making somebody's life better, even if they don't know that themselves. Right? That's where real confidence comes from. So if you think that you're not good at sales now because you don't have confidence, and you think that you just need to magically get confidence in order to become good at sales, it's not just gonna happen on its own. You need to now go and put in the work to actually learn what you're selling, learn your products, learn the people you're talking to, learn about them, learn what their biggest pain points are, learn how you can help them. And once you know all of that and it's up here and you have the knowledge, confidence comes naturally, and then through that you will gain confidence, and then that will not be a myth for you not being good at sales. All right, and the final and 5th myth when it comes to sales is that being good at sales requires fast talking and being aggressive. And I can tell you firsthand that that's not the case. I do sales every single day, and when I get on the phone, I do about 10% of the talking. 90% of the talking is me listening. It has a little bit to do with controlling the conversation up front, but that's not aggressive. You do not want to mistake that for being aggressive. And fast talking isn't really something that you want. Like I mentioned earlier, having charisma and being able to go back and forth with people, have a little banter, that can help. But that's not going to be the thing that is going to get you the sale. What's going to get you the sale is being quiet, asking the right questions, listening for things that you can actually use later on in order to sell the person, because you're listening for what their problems are. That's the only reason they're on the phone with you or meeting with you in person for the sales meeting, is because they have a problem and you're there to solve it, right? That's what we do as salespeople, is that we're solving problems, and hopefully we have the best product that we can back and that we care about in order to achieve the goal that the person that we're talking to is trying to reach. But sales is not about just talking and talking and talking. I actually had somebody that I know, he said that, and I think that he must have just heard this incorrectly, but one time he said that selling is telling. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? When it comes to selling, selling is listening. Selling is hearing the person's problems. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not letting them go off and you become their therapist, or you listen to them talk for 2 hours, but it's listening to their problems and then being able to ask the right questions that lead them to a conclusion of you and your product being the best situation for them. So if you think that you're not a fast talker, if you think that you can't be aggressive and that's going to be keeping you from being a great salesperson, let me tell you right now that that is a myth that you need to stop believing. It's absolutely not true. And some of the greatest salespeople out there rarely ever talk. They're just great listeners, and then they're able to use the confidence and the knowledge that they have built up in order to recommend amazing things. And that's where great sales comes from. That's what builds a relationship, being able to sit there and listen. In Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of his entire chapters is on just being a good listener. And he goes on to talk about how one night he went to like a dinner party and he spent the entire time just listening and asking the right questions, and he rarely talked. And at the end of the night, the person that he was talking to said that he was a great conversationalist and he created a great relationship from that. And all he did was listen. If we can apply that to sales and understand that sales is really about building relationships and being able to build relationships quickly, and so that people like you and trust you and believe in what you're selling, one of the best and quickest ways to do that is to just truly listen to what the person's saying. Not just sit there and nod off and wait for the next time that you can speak, but truly hearing what they're saying and then being able to recommend things based on what they're saying. Right? All right, guys. So these are 5 of the biggest myths that I've heard and biggest limiting beliefs that I've heard when it comes to sales. And I wanted to create this video to debunk it. I know there's a lot of young people that watch me. I know there's a lot of people new to insurance that watch me. And I just wanted to get this video out there to let them know that what they might think as the typical, stereotypical salesperson isn't always the right thing, isn't always the best salesperson. And just because you maybe don't have those skills that you've heard are needed to be a great salesperson, well, I wanted to make this video to show you that that's not true, and that anybody can become a great salesperson. And a lot of the time it comes down to understanding your product, really caring about the people you're talking to, really caring about the things you're selling, right? Because if you don't care about what you're selling, you don't care about the people you're helping, you don't care about who you're talking to, you're never going to believe in it. You're never going to have true confidence, which is going to make it really hard to actually sell what you don't believe in, right? All right, guys, I hope you liked this video. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please make sure you hit the like button. It really helps us know what content to continue to make for you guys. And if any of you guys are insurance agents and you want to start generating your own leads, you can check out the link below. I've got a link to our course called Lead Gen Fast Track, where we teach insurance agents how to use Facebook ads in order to create their own leads so that they don't have to rely on lead vendors anymore. We've also got a few free resources for you below. We've got our Facebook ad cheat sheet or Facebook ads guide for 2020. And then we also have a Facebook group where you can go, where you can learn about the latest advertising and marketing strategies when it comes to insurance. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.